The sun was just waking up over the dusty road in Sudan. The air was cool and quiet, like the world was holding its breath. 20 friends walked together in a small line. They were not rich. They were not famous. They were just people with soft smiles and tired feet. They were going to church, the same way they always did, because it made their hearts feel safe. They carried nothing sharp, nothing heavy. Some held small books close to their chests. Some held each other's hands so no one would feel afraid. Abeni walked near the front. She was short and walked fast, like she did not want to be late for anything in her life. Her shoes were old and made a soft sound on the ground. She kept looking back to count everyone. 1, 2, 3, she whispered, until she reached 20. When she reached 20, she smiled. Counting made her calm. If everyone was there, then everything was okay. Behind her was Malek, who liked to hum quiet songs. He did not know all the words, but he knew the tune. The tune helped him remember his mother, who used to sing when the lights went out at night. Malek's voice was very low, like a secret only the wind could hear. He hummed so gently that even the birds did not fly away. Zina walked beside her brother, Kofi. Zina held a small cloth bag with bread inside. She planned to share it after church. Kofi was taller and walked slowly so Zina could keep up. He looked strong, but his eyes were kind. He always watched the road, not because he was brave, but because he cared. When Zina stumbled on a stone, Kofi steadied her without a word. Farther back was Tarek, who had a limp. He did not like to be last, but his leg hurt that morning. Yara stayed with him, even though she could walk faster. She talked to him about small things, about the sky, about a dog she saw the day before, so he would not think about the pain. Tarek smiled because Yara never made him feel slow. She made him feel seen. The road bent like a long ribbon through dry grass and low trees. The trees did not have many leaves. They looked tired, like they had been standing there too long. The friends knew this road well. They had walked it many times. But that morning, something felt different. The air felt heavier. The birds were quieter. Even Malek stopped humming for a moment, though he did not know why. Abeni felt it first. Her steps slowed. She listened. There was a sound that did not belong. Not the wind, not the birds, not their feet. It was a far-off sound, low and rough, like something moving where it should not be. She did not say anything yet. She just counted again, very softly. 18, 19, 20. All were still there. Kofi saw dark shapes far ahead, near the bend in the road. He blinked and looked again. The shapes did not move like trees. They did not move like animals. They were still, then suddenly not still. His chest felt tight. He leaned closer to Zina and whispered, "Stay close." Zina nodded. She felt her brother's hand tighten, and her own heart beat faster. Tarek heard the sound too. He stopped walking. Yara stopped with him. The line of friends slowed, then stopped. No one spoke. Silence spread between them, thick like fog. Abeni turned around and raised her hand, a small sign to wait. She did not shout. She did not cry. She just breathed in and out, slow and steady. In that quiet moment, memories filled their minds. They remembered other mornings, other walks. They remembered laughter after church, the taste of shared bread, the feeling of singing together. These thoughts came like warm light, even as the road ahead felt dark. They held those memories tight, like lanterns in their hearts. Malek began to hum again, very softly. The tune was shaky at first, then stronger. It was not loud enough to be brave, but it was loud enough to be real. One by one, others joined, not with voices, but with calm breaths, with steady steps forward. Fear was there, yes, but it did not have the last word. Abeni took one step, then another. "We walk together," she said, her voice small but clear. "No one goes alone." 20 heads nodded. Hands found hands. Shoulders touched shoulders. The line became a circle of care moving forward. As they reached the bend, the dark shapes were closer now. The air felt hot, even though the sun was still low. Kofi felt his mouth go dry. Zina squeezed his hand. Yara whispered to Tarek, "I'm here." Tarek nodded, swallowing hard. Malek's humming turned into a simple prayer without words. No one ran. No one shouted. They walked, step by step, into the unknown, carrying only faith, memory, and each other. The road did not answer their questions. The trees did not explain. The sky did not change. But in their hearts, something quiet and strong stood up, something that had carried them before and would carry them again. The moment stretched, long and thin, like time itself was listening. And just before everything would change, before the road would reveal what it was holding, the friends stood together, breathing the same air, sharing the same hope, and trusting that light can meet darkness. Even on a dusty road at sunrise, the dark shapes became clear as the friends stepped closer. They were men standing across the road, blocking the way. Their faces were hard, like stones that had forgotten how to feel. The men did not smile. They did not greet. They held fire and fear in their hands. The morning that once felt gentle now felt sharp, like the air could cut. Abeni stopped. Everyone stopped with her. No one pushed. No one ran. Their hands stayed linked. Zina felt her heart jump like a small bird trapped in her chest. Kofi stood a little taller without thinking, placing himself half in front of his sister. Yara leaned closer to Tarek, and Tarek leaned back, steadying his breath. Malek's humming faded, but the calm he made stayed in the air. The men shouted words that hurt like thrown stones. The words were loud, but they were empty. The friends did not answer. They had learned that silence can be strong. The sun climbed higher, and the heat grew. The road felt longer than it had ever felt before. The men pushed them off the road to a bare place where the ground was black and dry. The smell there was bitter. Fear tried to climb into the friends' hearts, but they held it down together. Abeni counted again, even though her hands were shaking. 18, 19, 20. All were still there. She nodded, like she had finished a hard task. The men made a ring around them. The ring felt tight, like a trap. Zina's eyes filled with tears, but she did not cry out. She remembered the bread in her bag and thought of sharing it after church. The thought made her chest ache. Kofi felt anger rise, hot and fast, but he pushed it down. Anger would not help Zina. Love would. Tarek's leg hurt more now. He sat down slowly, and Yara sat with him. She whispered, "Look at me." He looked. Her eyes were steady. That steadiness helped him breathe. Malek closed his eyes and thought of his mother's song. The tune came back to him, not on his lips this time, but deep inside where fear could not reach. Abeni lifted her head. Her voice was small, but it did not break. "We are not alone," she said. She did not shout. She did not argue. She simply spoke the truth she knew. The friends heard her and believed her, even though their hands were cold. The heat grew stronger. The men moved closer. Time felt strange, like it was stretching and shrinking at the same time. In that heavy moment, the friends did the only thing they could do. They prayed, each, in their own simple way. No big words, no long speeches, just hearts talking to heaven. Kofi prayed for Zina. Zina prayed for Kofi. Yara prayed for Tarek's pain to ease. Tarek prayed for Yara to be safe. Malek prayed with a song that had no words. Abeni prayed for everyone, counting them again in her heart so she would not forget a single face. Then something changed. The air shifted, like a door opening where there was no door before. The heat that pressed on their skin pulled back, just a little, like it was afraid. A quiet fell that was deeper than silence. Even the men paused. Their hands lowered. Their eyes darted around, unsure. A wind came where there had been no wind. It moved gently at first, then stronger, wrapping around the friends like a blanket. The ground that smelled bitter now smelled clean, like rain that had not yet fallen. The friends felt it at the same time. Not fire, not pain, relief. Malek opened his eyes. Yara gasped softly. Zina squeezed Kofi's hand so tight it almost hurt. Tarek felt his leg loosen, just enough to stand. Abeni felt tears slide down her face, warm and steady. She did not wipe them away. In that moment, they felt a presence that was kind and strong, closer than breath. They did not see a shape. They did not hear a loud voice. But they knew. The way you know when someone who loves you is near. The way fear steps back when hope steps forward. The men grew restless. Their shouts fell apart. Some stepped away from the ring. Others looked at the ground, like they had lost something and did not know where it went. The wind moved again, guiding the friends, opening a path that had not been there before. Abeni took a step. The others followed. Together. Always together. As they moved, the fear did not chase them. It stayed behind, small and confused. The friends walked through the open space, their hearts pounding, their hands still linked. Xena laughed once, a tiny sound that surprised her. Kofi smiled through tears he did not know he had. Yara helped Tarek walk, and this time his steps felt lighter. Malek felt the song rise again, stronger than before. They walked until the road felt like a road again. Until the trees looked like trees. Until the sky felt wide and safe. When they finally stopped, they turned and looked back. The place behind them was quiet and empty, like a bad dream that fades in the morning light. Abeni counted one last time, out loud now. 18, 19, 20. All were there, alive, together. She lifted her face to the sky and whispered thanks to Jesus, her voice full and soft. The others echoed her thanks in their own ways. They did not understand everything that had happened. They did not need to. They knew only this. Love had stood with them. Light had met darkness, and the road ahead, though still long, no longer felt lonely. They did not run. Even after the danger passed, their feet moved slow, like their bodies were learning a new way to trust the ground. The wind stayed with them for a while, gentle now, like a friend walking close. The sun climbed higher, and light touched their faces. It felt warmer, but not heavy anymore. They reached a small rise where they could see far ahead. The road split into two paths. One path went straight, wide and open. The other bent to the left, narrow and quiet. Abeni stopped again. She looked at the paths, then at the faces around her. 20 faces. Tired, shaken, alive. We rest, she said. It was not a question. Everyone nodded. They sat under a thin tree that gave just enough shade to feel kind. Xena opened her cloth bag. The bread inside was a little dry, but it smelled good. She broke it into pieces and passed them around. No one took more than they needed. Sharing made their hands stop shaking. Kofi drank from a small bottle and gave the rest to Tarek. Tarek smiled and took a careful sip. "Thank you," he said, his voice stronger than before. Yara leaned back against the tree and closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, tears rolled down her cheeks, slow and quiet. She did not hide them. No one told her to stop. Malek sat apart for a second, listening. He tilted his head like he was hearing something far away. Then he smiled. "The song is back," he said. "Inside me." Abeni smiled too. She felt it as well, a calm hum beneath the noise of the world. They talked softly about what had happened, using small words, careful words. No one tried to make it bigger than it was. No one tried to make it smaller. They spoke truth in pieces, like putting a broken cup back together. When someone could not find the right words, the others waited. After resting, they stood. The narrow path to the left looked safer, though it was longer. The wide path felt wrong. Abeni pointed left. "This way," she said. Again, no one argued. They trusted the quiet sense inside them that had helped before. As they walked, the land changed. Dry grass gave way to softer ground. The trees grew closer together, and their leaves whispered as the friends passed. The whispering did not scare them. It felt like welcome. Xena reached out and touched a leaf. It was cool. They heard voices ahead. Low, worried voices. Kofi raised his hand, and the group slowed. Around the bend, they saw people hiding near a small hut. Women held children close. An old man leaned on a stick. Their eyes were wide with fear. "Are you hurt?" Yara asked gently. The old man shook his head. "We saw smoke earlier," he said. "We heard shouting. We hid." Abeni stepped forward. "You are safe now," she said. Her voice surprised even her. It sounded sure. The people looked at the 20 friends, counted them with their eyes, and seemed confused. They expected tears, burns, loss. They saw none. "What happened?" a woman asked. Malek answered, simple and true. "Help came." They stayed together for a while, sharing water and bread. The children stopped crying. One child laughed when Xena made a silly face. That laugh felt like a bell ringing, clear and bright. It made the adults breathe easier. When it was time to move again, the old man held Abeni's hand. "Carry this piece with you," he said. Others will need it. Abeni nodded. She did not feel brave, but she felt ready. They walked on. The church was still ahead, its small walls white against the brown earth. When they finally saw it, cheers came again, this time with smiles. The door was open. Inside, it was cool and quiet. Sunlight fell through a small window and made a bright square on the floor. They sat together on the floor. No singing yet, no loud joy, just breathing, just being there. Kofi closed his eyes and felt Zena's shoulder against his. Yara leaned near Tarek, who stood without pain for a long moment. Malek felt the song rise and settle, peaceful. Abeni counted one more time in her heart. 20. She did not need to whisper it now. She knew. The quiet wrapped around them, not empty, but full of life that had been given back, full of courage that had been grown in fear's shadow. Outside, the world kept moving. Inside, something deep and gentle took root. They did not know what tomorrow would bring. They did not promise easy days. But they knew this. When the road turns dark, they would walk together. And the light that met them once could meet them again. The quiet inside the small church did not last long. Footsteps came from outside, slow at first, then many. Voices whispered, then rose. The door creaked open wider, and people stepped in, one by one. They had heard something had happened on the road. They had smelled smoke far away. They had feared the worst. When they saw the 20 friends sitting there, whole and breathing, a soft sound filled the room. It was not shouting. It was not crying. It was the sound people make when heavy fear falls off their shoulders all at once. Mothers covered their mouths. An old woman touched Abeni's arm, just to be sure she was real. Tell us, someone said. Please. The friends looked at each other. No one rushed to speak. Then Zena stood. She was small, but her voice carried. She told the story slowly, using simple words. She did not make it bigger than it was. She did not hide the fear. She spoke of the road, the heat, the wind, the calm that came like a hand on the heart. When she finished, the room stayed quiet. People thought about what they had heard. Some nodded. Some wiped their eyes. The old woman began to sing, very softly. Others joined, not all at once, but gently, like threads weaving together. The sound grew warm and strong. Outside, the sun was high now. The light spilled into the church and touched every face. Kofi felt something lift inside him, something he had carried for a long time without knowing. Yara felt her hands stop trembling. Tarek stood tall, surprised at how steady his legs felt. Then more voices came from outside, sharper this time. The singing faded. Fear tried to return. The door shook as it was pushed. Abeni's heart beat fast, but she did not move. She remembered the wind. She remembered the calm. Men stepped inside. Their faces were tight, their eyes searching. They looked at the room, at the people, at the 20 friends. They expected to see something else. Confusion crossed their faces. Where are the bodies? One asked, his voice rough. No one answered right away. The old woman took a step forward. There are no bodies here, she said. Only people. The men looked around again. They whispered to each other. One pointed at Malek, then lowered his hand. Another rubbed his eyes like he was tired. The air felt heavy, then lighter, like before. Kofi felt a strange peace settle over him. Not loud, not proud, just steady. He took Zena's hand. Yara placed a hand on Tarek's shoulder. Malek felt the song return, stronger than fear. The men backed away, slow and unsure. One shook his head. This place is wrong, he muttered, like he did not understand his own words. They left as they had come, their footsteps fading. When the door closed, the room breathed again. Some laughed, short and surprised. Some cried openly now. Abeni sank to her knees, not from weakness, but from thanks. Others knelt with her. The floor felt cool and kind. They did not stay long after that. They knew the day was not finished. Outside, people gathered, whispering, pointing, wondering. The friends stepped out together. The light felt brighter than before. Children ran up to them. A little boy touched Tarek's leg and smiled when Tarek laughed. As they walked home later, the road felt different. The trees looked taller. The sky looked wider. The friends talked about tomorrow, about work, about meals, about small plans. Life things. Ordinary things. And yet, nothing felt ordinary anymore. Abeni walked at the back this time. She watched the others, counting without numbers. She felt full. Not full of answers, but full of trust. She knew the story would spread. Some would believe, some would doubt. That was okay. What mattered was this. They had walked into fear and walked out together. They had felt help when help seemed impossible. And inside each of them, a quiet fire now burned. Not one that hurts, but one that warms, guides, and gives light when the road grows dark again. The days that followed moved slowly, like the world was learning how to breathe again. News traveled from mouth to mouth, from house to house. People whispered on doorsteps and talked in low voices at the well. Some spoke with wide eyes. Some shook their heads. Some smiled without knowing why. The 20 friends went back to their normal lives. Or at least, they tried to. Abeni swept her small room and cooked simple meals. Kofi went to work with the sun on his back. Zena baked bread and shared it like she always did. Yara helped children learn their letters. Tarek walked the paths he had avoided before. Malek hummed as he worked, his tune calm and steady. But something had changed. They noticed it in small ways. Fear did not sit so heavy in their chests anymore. When loud sounds came, their hearts jumped, but they did not break. When worries rose, they talked about them instead of hiding them. They had learned that being together could carry them through things they could not carry alone. One evening, they gathered again, not because they were told to, but because they wanted to. They sat in a circle under the open sky. The stars were bright, like tiny fires that did not burn. Abeni looked at each face, warm and alive. She did not count out loud. She did not need to. Kofi spoke first. I thought being strong meant standing alone, he said. I was wrong. He squeezed Zena's hand. Being strong is standing together. Zena nodded. And sharing, she added softly. Even when there is little. Yara smiled at Tarek. And staying, she said. Not walking away when things are hard. Tarek lifted his head. And trusting, he said. Even when your legs shake. Malek closed his eyes. And listening, he said. To the quiet help that comes. They sat with those words, letting them settle like seeds. The night air felt kind. Somewhere far away, a dog barked. Closer by, a child laughed. Life went on. In the days after, people came to them with questions. How did you escape? Why were you not hurt? The friends did not give long answers. They told the truth in simple words. We were helped. We were not alone. Love stood with us. Some people believed right away. Others needed time. The friends did not push. They had learned that hearts open when they are ready. The small church filled more often now. Not because of fear, but because of hope. People came to sit, to breathe, to sing softly. The door stayed open. Light came in. Laughter came back. One morning, Abeni walked the road again at sunrise. She did not walk alone. All 20 were there. The road looked the same, dusty and long. But it felt different under their feet. They stopped at the bend where fear had once stood. The air was calm. The trees were quiet. Abeni spoke, her voice steady. We remember, she said. Not to be afraid, but to be thankful. They stood in silence. Then Malek began to hum. The tune was gentle and strong. Others joined, not with words, but with smiles, with hands held tight. They knew hard days could come again. They did not pretend otherwise. But they also knew something deeper now. They knew that when darkness rises, light can meet it. They knew that when fear tries to speak, love can answer. That knowledge did not make them loud or proud. It made them kind. It made them brave in quiet ways. It made them ready to help others when help seemed far away. As the sun climbed, they turned back toward home. The road stretched ahead, long and winding. But their steps were sure. Their hearts were open, and their hope, once tested and found strong, walked with them, steady, gentle, and alive, like a flame that gives light without burning, carried forward by faith in Jesus. Summary. In a small part of Sudan, 20 friends, simple and faithful, walked together to church one morning. Along the dusty road, they were confronted by men with fire and fear. Despite the danger, they stayed together, holding hands, praying quietly, and trusting in something greater than themselves. Miraculously, They were unharmed, and the men who threatened them left confused and powerless. They continued their journey, shared their story with others, and inspired their community. Over time, the experience transformed them. They became braver, kinder, and more united. The church became a place of hope, and the friends carried forward the message that even in the darkest moments, love, faith, and togetherness can bring light and protection. Moral lesson: faith gives courage. Trusting in a higher power or in goodness can help you face danger and fear. Unity is strength. Standing together with others can help you overcome even the scariest challenges. Kindness and love conquer fear. Small acts of care, prayer, and patience can create miracles in real life. Hope can inspire others. Sharing your story of survival and faith can bring courage and light to those around you. Inner strength is built through trials. Hard experiences, when faced with courage and love, can make hearts stronger and wiser. The end.